Hello and welcome to How To Automotive. In today's video, I'm excited because I'm answering a question that you guys ask me all the time. So the question I get most of all is, should I buy the 3/8 drive or the 1/2-inch drive? That's either on the Stubby or the mid-torque Milwaukee Impacts. So today's video is all about answering that question, so stay tuned. So like I said, the number one question on the channel is, should I buy the 3/8 drive or the 1/2-inch drive? And it's not a cut and dry answer. It's always going to depend on what type of work you're doing with the tool. So if you're working on heavy truck, like I work at a heavy truck shop, I tend to use a lot of 1/2-inch drive tools, especially in the mid-torque, high torque, and so on. But I used to be employed at a shop that worked on BMWs, Toyotas, Lexus, Hondas, and that stuff. And I used the heck out of the stubbies and the mid-torque. And when I did, I primarily use the 3/8 drive. And the reason why I primarily use the 3/8 drive on both the mid-torque and the stubby here is because I had a ton of socket options. I have a lot more socket options to use, like inverted torques or a torque socket like you see here, or wobble sockets like this, or Allen sockets like this. And I didn't have that many options on the 1/2-inch drive. I usually just had the bigger sockets, you know, and I usually use those on like suspension work and some engine work, frame work, stuff like that. But the 3/8 drives, I use that on taking the covers off of vehicles. I use that for taking apart the engine bay. I used it for just, you name it, I used it. And the cool thing about the 3/8 drive, if you wish, you can adapt it from a 3/8 drive to a 1/2-inch drive. And yes, you can adapt from a 1/2-inch drive down to a 3/8 drive. But I tended to use the 3/8 drive a lot more. It gave me a lot more options. My daughter Vanessa and I do a lot of projects together, and she's using the 3/8 drive mid-torque right here to remove some subframe bolts. In this clip here, we're at the junkyard and we're removing some rocker panels. There's just some small fasteners, and she's using the 3/8 drive because we have, you know, lots of socket options to remove stuff like that. Here I'm back at the shop taking a hub apart and using the 3/8 drive mid-torque here to remove some fasteners. Now, if you're doing heavy suspension work or something seriously heavy, the 1/2-inch drive is the way to go. That's what I'm using here. The 1/2-inch drive is putting in the work, doing some suspension work on this motorhome here. Just removing the airbags on this one. If you're doing a lot of suspension work like I'm doing here, the 1/2-inch drive is the way to go. It works just a little bit better, and you tend to have the bigger sockets for suspension work. And anytime I'm doing suspension work, that's what I'm using, is the 1/2-inch drive. So what it really comes down to is what you're working on. If you're working on suspension work, that type of stuff all day, every day, you're probably going to want to go with a 1/2-inch drive. If you're doing a little of everything, the 3/8 drive is the one that you're probably going to want to select. It's the one I use the most, and it's one that's worked out best for me. So if you are interested in picking up any of these tools, I have links for it in the description of the video. They'll pop up on the screen. You can click those links and get those there. I'm Brian from How To Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching and encourage you to subscribe.